Hey folks, we're back. We're doing the conference tour. I built the podcast booth. I took it to ng-conf. Talking to Jesse Sanders. You're the CEO?
Yeah, CEO and founder of BrieBug.
BrieBug, right. This episode is sponsored by Sentry.io. Recently, I came across a great tool for tracking and monitoring problems in my apps. Then I asked them if they wanted to sponsor the show and allow me to share my experience with you. Sentry provides a terrific interface for keeping track of what's going on with my app. It also tracks releases so I can tell if what I deployed makes things better or worse. They give full stack traces and as much information as possible about the situation when the error occurred to help you track down the errors. Plus, one thing I love, you can customize the context provided by Sentry. So, if you're looking for specific information about the request, you can provide it. It automatically scrubs passwords and secure information, and you can customize the scrubbing as well. Finally, it has a user feedback system built in that you can use to get information from your users. Oh, and I also love that they support open source to the point where they actually open sourced Sentry if you want to self-host it. Use the code devchat at Sentry.io to get 2 months free on Sentry's small plan. That's code devchat at Sentry.io. You know, I think we did a My Angular story, and we talked about your story there as far as all that goes. What I'm really curious about is I hear you're a musician.
Oh, we're gonna go straight to that. That is absolutely fantastic. I love that. I would say that very loosely, sir. That was in a previous life, maybe 25 years ago. Yes.
Yeah, but you were talking about the mics, and yeah, it's always interesting to me to get commentary on my gear. But yeah, I got these mics because I can throw them in a bag, and then I can throw the bag around, and then I can pull them back out, and they work great. So.
Yeah, we would throw them against the stage and all sorts of craziness. So yeah, sure, SM58s are the gold standard here.
Yeah, they're solid.
Excellent.
So yeah, the only thing that they didn't survive is one of my kids. Okay, this is about you, but I'm
perfect. Let's talk.
So my kids they got a hold of my mic.
Yeah, what'd they do?
And they twisted the top off.
Uh-huh.
And they kept twisting. And if you keep twisting, eventually the wires will get pulled out.
Oh, yeah, that's not good for microphones.
No, it's not good for microphones. And these, they're nice, but they're not exactly cheap. So
No, they're not cheap, but they're good.
Yeah. So anyway, they can stand up to quite a bit, but not my kids.
Well, I promise I won't take mine and swing it over my head, smacking anything. Much.
Yeah. Little liability issue there, right?
Yeah. We're safe environment here.
Yep. Cool. So I did want to dive in. So you've spoken at the conference, you've emceed at the conference. What did you speak about? Let's just start there.
So I spoke about one of my favorite things right now, which is Cypress. Very passionate about it. It's really changing how testing is happening, especially in the end-to-end world. So traditionally, we've been using tools like Selenium-based either WebDriver or Protractor, and Cypress actually has a new spin on it.
Right.
And what we find is that the tests run faster, more reliable, and there's some other really great features built right into Cypress that make end-to-end testing fun again.
Right. Well, the other thing is that when I got into testing, unit testing was the big thing, right? Because it's fast and it's easy.
Exactly.
And then I found Cypress, and I was like, I think I might just use this from now on, right? Because the unit test tests the individual pieces, but then sometimes the unit test would pass and the app still wouldn't work because the units worked, but the integration didn't.
Exactly. I saw a presentation on Cypress about a year ago. And the presenter on it had the traditional pyramid, and with unit testing being the base, and that's where you're going to have the most tests. And in the next level was integration, and this small little piece for end to end. And he actually made this very bold suggestion of like, what if we took the pyramid and flipped it upside down, and that end to end testing was where the majority of the tests were. Right. Some integration, and even fewer on the unit testing.
Right.
And that got me to really think that, hey, maybe there's something to this.
Yeah.
And once I got done listening to that presentation, I was like, there's some real merit here, and something that we should be looking at.
Yeah, because then you just unit test the stuff that's hard, right?
Exactly. We unit test things that are a lot of times I feel like we're just unit testing to get code coverage.
Yes.
Okay. And so we want to get code coverage so that we know that we have all the hard things tested. But the only way we know that is if we test everything. And a lot of times then we're writing tests for very innocuous and mundane functions that aren't really doing much, but we're doing this so that we can get the coverage and we can verify and check the box, if you will, that, hey, we have unit tests.
Yeah. So the REST module, right? The REST module works. Yeah. I included it in like 8 things, and it works in all of them. Look at that.
And as individual functions, they all work. But when we take them and comprise them all together as a full unit, and we're trying to test these, that's where we start to see the failures. That's where we start to see the problems. And so that's why end-to-end testing is really important.
Becomes really apparent when REST doesn't work.
Yeah. And you think about this,
or GraphQL, or whatever.
We're trying to test the business logic.
Yeah.
And the interactions.
Well,
of
that's
a
where
user.
the value is.
Absolutely. We want to make sure that, the example I give over and over is that if we have a product that when it has a quantity of less than 10, we want to show a reorder panel.
Right.
And on that reorder panel, it allow a manager to, be able to reorder and increase that stock. Well, how would we do that in a traditional Selenium WebDriver protractor-based test?
Yeah.
So I have 2 options. I either have to create the data,
right,
so I can go locate it, or I have to have a seed database that hopefully hasn't gotten too messed up, and I'm having to maintain a database.
Yeah, you do.
A non-controlled database.
Or you blow away the seed database and then
start over.
Build it up.
Yeah.
And
you almost need a full-time developer just to work on seed databases and make sure that those match, all the tests. And so
I've never actually thought that ever.
Oh, I never thought that would be a good idea. I'd never done that. But I hear, and that's a common thing that people talk about. I think the common misconception that people think about with end-to-end is that if I don't test all the way to the API, that's not really end-to-end.
Right.
And that's just really not true.
Yeah.
The API itself should have extensive tests.
Right.
That do.
Oh yeah.
Load testing and as well as integration testing. We're actually hitting against the back end and making sure it's going to work, because that is the core of our application.
Yep.
But once that's done, it's almost like this. You'll have developers writing tests.
Right.
That will actually test RxJS. Not their application.
Yep.
But be testing something that already has its own set of tests that already have passed. And so it's like, no, stop doing that. Test your app.
Yep.
Test those interactions. Test that business logic. And with stubs and fixtures in Cypress, we can do that so quickly, so easily. We make our tests 100% reliable, super fast. It's just, this is what we've been waiting for.
Awesome. So, do you think you convinced anybody?
Oh, I have had so many people come up and talk to me and ask me questions. In fact, as I was getting into the booth here and going like, no, find me in like an hour.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk to you.
Right.
But yeah, so many people have been coming up and asking me about it. Everyone's like, hey, that's the Cypress guy. And I'm like, no, I actually don't work for Cypress. I'm a Cypress ambassador.
Right.
And I do a lot of talks on Cypress, but it's just one of the things that I'm passionate about.
Right. Absolutely. So I'm going to change topics on you a little bit. So walking through the sponsors area, you see BrieBug in there. I'm a little curious. You do the development consultancy and things like that. Are you looking to find customers or?
Yeah, we're always looking for new customers. So we do really primarily 2 or 3 things here. So we do training.
Right.
We want to help the community. We want to help businesses. And so we've been developing training platforms to help people.
Right.
We also work with several other Angular GDEs that have expertise in areas, and that we work to bring them directly to customers so they can get the exact help that they need.
Right.
So the other thing we do is consulting. So that might look like staff augmentation, or it might look like a more general like consulting to help teams accelerate, understand, and really complete these big, large enterprise systems that are complex. Those are the things that developers love to work on, that what we love to work on, and we're really good at it. So we like to help other people with that.
That makes sense.
So of course, we're always looking for new customers, people that we can help, even if it's just a conversation.
So what's the plug then? How do people find you?
So really easy. You can go out to BrieBug.com. You can find us out there. You can hit us up on Twitter. You can find me in a city almost every single month, coming out and speaking and talking to people. I'm very passionate, as you know, Chuck, about getting out there and talking and helping people and showing people what's cool, what's the stuff that you should be looking at and considering. So you can find me sometimes there, traveling through cities. But, I'd say just reach out to us. There's a easy way through the web. There's a contact form, and I'll be the one responding directly to you and talking to you.
That's awesome. And it's interesting too, because, your company has what, 30, 40, 50 people?
Yeah. So we're right now around 25.
Oh, okay.
I think we're going to be at about 30 by the end of the year, but we'll see.
Yeah. But you see companies, once they get past like 15 people, you email the CEO and their assistant's getting back to you. Right. And so I think that's cool that you're getting back to people where you can.
I want to have more of a personal touch. I want to be able to sit down and talk to people about success. And so we're actually working on some new things, and so people have been like, wow, that's pretty crazy. But we're passionate about client success.
Right.
Right now, what is about 70% of all software projects fail, either in terms of budget, timelines, or features.
Yeah.
Okay. And some projects just flat out just canceled.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what we're looking at is our mission and our purpose is to make software simple and predictable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so what we've been working on is a core set of standards that if you will follow what we talk to you about and say, hey, look, if you will follow these steps, we will guarantee the success of your project.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you want to go run crazy the other direction and do stuff, we'll help you still, but we can't guarantee, the success of your project if you're not willing to do what we consider basic concessions of how we build software successfully.
Right. Well, and it's interesting. I mean, there are so many ways to do a thing successfully, but there are certain principles behind it. And so, if you can codify that into practices and say, look, we're going to follow these principles, we're going to do these practices, and we will have success, that makes things a lot simpler for a lot of people.
Absolutely, it does. And that's what people are looking for. They're looking for a successful way that they can get their project done on time, on budget, and with the features that they need so that they can do business the way that they want. Yep. Right. And so when we look at projects and they fail and companies are struggling with that, I think it just comes down to that everybody wants to find a successful way to deliver software now.
Yep. Oh, 100%. And it's funny that you're talking about this because, I've been working on my own software as a service product that I want to release for podcasters. And when I was a developer doing consulting on my own stuff, I would commit to timelines and I would just get the stuff done. But now that I'm hiring people to do it and I have people working for me, and it got complicated in a hurry.
Absolutely. Software can get complicated and timelines and whatnot. Yeah. And so we have to have ways to manage that. And what we're doing is we're taking a successful pattern that we've been using for years and continuing to distill that down about what works and what doesn't work. And that way we can help clients be successful.
Yeah. Well, and that's a skill that I find. So one of the topics that I want to start a show on is development leadership, right? So CTOs, dev leads, people like that. That's a skill that, nobody gets taught, right? They kind of get thrown in the deep end. Hey, congratulations, you're our senior guy. You're now the team lead. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, why are the timelines slipping? Why are we over budget? Why,
Yeah, I think there's a few people that are very lucky.
Nobody gets those skills.
Yeah, there's a lucky few that actually have a mentor that actually help them get to that level.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the other services that we're offering is helping on technical leadership and helping companies to accelerate that technical leadership so that we're not just talking about the fundamentals of NGRX or core concepts within Angular or a programming language, but hey, how do we actually run successful teams? How do we run successful organizations and change the paradigms so that we are the number one place to work at, where we get more talent than we could ever possibly because of how we run our company.
Yep. 100%. Love it.
This episode is brought to you by Triplebyte. Applying to programming jobs sucks. You have to put the right keywords in your resume, you spend hours and hours on the phone screens and take-home projects, and that's assuming the company even responds to your application. Well, if you're a software engineer, Triplebyte can help. They work with over 400 top tech companies, from big names like Dropbox and Adobe to exciting startups. You do one brief online interview with them, and if you do well, you go straight to final interviews with the company on their platform. It's like the Common App for software developers. Triplebyte does not look at your resume or where you went to school. All they care about is if you can code. I've helped dozens of software developers with various credentials get jobs, and this looks like a terrific way for you to get in and get interviewed and get a job without a lot of the hassle and overhead. You can go check them out at triplebyte.com/astory. That's triplebyte.com, byte as in 8 bits. As a special offer for listeners of this show, if you take a job through Triplebyte, they'll offer you a $1,000 signing bonus.
I'm going to move us along a little bit. Talk to me about Angular Denver.
So Angular Denver. Wow. I'll let you in. You want a secret on Angular Denver?
I hear you've got a really, really great speaker coming.
I
only gave him 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
but it's going to be the best.
It's going to be the best 10 minutes. So Angular Denver started. We did it last year for the first time, right? And it was sort of honestly an accident. So we had been doing a smaller event called an Evening of Angular.
Right. Yeah. I came out for one of those.
You came up. Yeah, you came out in April of last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you and Dan Walleen and
Dan's was better, by the way.
Both great talks. We were honored to have both of you.
Right.
And what it really honestly started out from a scenario where I looked at it and said, you know what? Denver's got such an amazing technical community, and I just didn't feel like we were getting that many speakers to come to Denver and talk.
Yeah.
So I kind of made a bet with Joe Eames that about coming out and speaking, and he won the bet. Him and Aaron Frost came out in January of last year and spoke, and it just sort of tripped the trigger. And I'm like, okay, well, the people will come.
Right.
And then we had you and Dan, and then we were looking to do one in the end of July or first part of August. And we had 8 speakers that wanted to come, and we had 2 slots. So I was going to have to say no to 6 people.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting ready to do all the planning for it. It's late May, early June. And I'm like, well, what would happen if we just invited all of them?
Right.
And we had 8 speakers. And maybe we could just add a couple more, maybe we could get up to 12 and we could round it out and we could have a one-day conference.
Right.
And I pitched it past Joe Eames since he is an organizer here for ng-conf, laid out the plan. He's like, that would work. I think that actually has wings. And so we went for it, and we had a successful I almost said concert. Wow.
You are a musician, remember?
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, loosely. We had a successful conference. People were blown away by the speakers and having this event in Denver. And so we're doing it again this year. We've expanded it, though, from a 1-day format to a 2-day format.
Right.
We also have found that the best talks tend to be the 25-minute talks or 10-minute talks.
Right.
That really much more than 25 minutes, and we start to lose some people, unless it's a very interactive workshop type of thing.
Yeah,
and
you force people to boil it down to the basics.
Exactly. We get to the nitty-gritty really, really fast, okay, on a 25-minute talk. And so we went from 12 speakers to 44 speakers.
Wow.
11, I believe we have 11 international speakers that are coming to Denver to come speak.
Nice.
So this little vision, this little dream of, hey, we should get some speakers to come to Denver has turned into this, oh wow, this is getting kind of crazy.
Yep.
But super, super cool. And for those of you that didn't get the clue, Chuck is coming and speaking, and we're so excited to have him. We did shorten your talk from 25 to 10 to make it work, but we're excited.
I got the invite and I was like, 10 minutes. How do I boil this down in 10 minutes?
Well, we want you to do this in Denver too. I would love to have you come out and do some podcast stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
And we'll set up a space and we'll figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah, that would be terrific. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, so we've also
serverless on Angular in 10 minutes.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't even have time to say, this is going to move fast, folks.
Exactly. So what I'm also excited, we got 2 days of workshops. We've got members of the NGRX team. So Mike and Brandon are coming out.
Right.
We've got members from the RxJS team. So Michael and Jan are coming out. We got Dan Walleen coming out and teaching Angular architecture. I'm doing a class on advanced NGRX. Joe Eames is doing a class either on unit testing or Cypress or workshop. Yeah. So some of these are 2-day workshops, some 1-day workshops, but we've got just an all-star lineup of people coming to Denver. The other thing I want to mention that we were very pleasantly surprised is that we believe about 25% attendance by women last year at Angular Denver, and we do our best to promote that, and we got an amazing result that we were just flabbergasted by. We're like, wow, that is amazing, and it just feels good to create a conference about inclusion. We do it as a nonprofit, by the way, as well. We don't do it for any profit. Anything at the end that's left over gets donated to a local group that works with kids and tech. And we basically put it 5 or 6 into a hat, and we draw one out. And the best part is we actually invite them to a meetup then subsequently later. We actually might change that this year and have them come in on the last day of the conference
Right.
at 4:00, and so we can present a check to them at that time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
Definitely a lot of fun. Highly recommend. Hey, if there's any way you can get involved in your local meetup, if there's any way you can get involved in your local conferences, like get out there, speak, be a part of the community.
Yep. Well, and it's interesting too, because you're talking about kind of a smaller conference. I mean, this is a huge conference. You know, it's in my backyard. I live near here, but you know, last month I went to a conference. It was a Ruby conference held in Salt Lake, and they held it over at the community college in one of the auditoriums. You know, had a couple hundred people there. They managed to bring out Mats, who's the guy who created Ruby.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, it's interesting because this is fun because I get to see a lot of people, but those are fun because they're so intimate. And, you know, it's like, oh, wow, you know, you tend to get a few more local people too. So people that don't come out to the other conferences, and you just get this different experience. It's, I don't know, in some ways it's better, in some ways it's worse, but it's just more or less different. And it's just terrific because it's like you see the same people in the hall the whole time. And
yeah, you know, absolutely.
You have a conversation with somebody and then you walk by them, you know, an hour later because it's a break.
Yeah. Go hang out with them on a break, go have lunch with them. You know, it was really important for us to keep the price point really, really low. So this year, the price point is right around $500, depending on when you purchase your ticket.
Right.
We want to make it accessible to everybody.
Right.
You know, we lower the prices on workshops down to around $300 per day.
Right.
So again, we want to maximize the chance, the opportunity for people to do this, to be involved, to be able to come out. And we encourage people that, hey, if you're not able to purchase a ticket, reach out to us about a scholarship.
Oh yeah.
And we'd like to talk to you about that, to help get you, to the conference and be able to participate.
Cool. So what are you working on now?
Wow. Sleep. So,
I've heard of that.
I don't know if you ever, have done a workshop, but wow, a whole bunch of work to put on a brand new advanced NGRX workshop. So that took quite a bit of time. I'm getting ready to leave for London. And then I'm going to Tel Aviv for Angular Up. So London is international JavaScript. Tel Aviv, I'm going to Angular Up. I'm very excited about that. There's such a great crew out there. Yeah. Another smaller,
I wanted to go so bad, and they didn't accept my talk, so I couldn't talk my wife around to it.
Yeah. This is my second year in a row that I've got to go. Yeah. So it's absolutely fun. The organizers are great. I get to, what I love about these conferences, I get to hang out with friends. I get to see you. I get to walk through these hallways, and it's like, some of these people I only get to see once a year, maybe twice a year. And it's like, yeah, and it's just so cool to go hang out, have lunch, just catch up, get your opinion on this or that. What do you think on what's going on with this? And what are you learning today? And I think that's one of the best things with a conference.
Yep.
So outside of that, what I have going on, I'm supposed to be training for a triathlon. That's not going so well, but I am in the appropriate group. I'm in this Strava group called Pathetic Triathletes.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah. So I'll give them
there's an Angular Strava group, right?
Is there? I did not know that.
Yeah, I think Igor set it up.
Igor? All right. I'll have to find that and get on there. So I got to get serious with that. I'm doing a race in September.
Nice.
And then hopefully, if everything goes well, but complete a race, a full Ironman in November. So
wow, yeah, Ironman is kind of my eventual goal. I'm running my first marathon in October, so
awesome. That's what it starts with. It starts with a dare.
Yeah.
Or some sort of thing to get you to go there.
Yep.
I can remember when I did my first marathon, someone asked me, they're like, "What about a half marathon?" I was like, "That doesn't really scare me. I can do 7 miles now."
Right.
To 13, 26 though, whew, that's scary.
Yeah.
But it was one of the best things, very motivating. Oh, one other thing that I got going on. I have been working with Joe Eames with Thinkster, so I want to give Thinkster a little plug.
Yeah.
If we can here.
I was going to say, you've been on the DevEd podcast a bunch.
I've been on the DevEd podcast a bunch lately, and I will continue to do so. I love hanging out with that crew, and
I've been listening to it.
Awesome. What do you think?
It's terrific. Yeah. And I'll admit part of the reason I listen is because my production team is the production team for DevEd.
Oh,
and I want to make sure that I'm like, yeah, if I'm telling somebody I'm going to produce it, it's going to be dang well produced.
Right?
And it's been a terrific show. I've really been impressed with who he's lined up for
Yeah,
that.
the guests have been great. The panelists have been great. And I'm excited. So now that things are settling down a little bit, I've got several courses that I've been working on specifically for Thinkster. So I've got a pipes course that I'm hoping that'll be out right after the 1st of June.
Nice.
And so I've been digging into pipes and learning, every last aspect to be able to teach that. I thought I knew everything about pipes, but there are a couple little things like, wow, I didn't realize that that's why that is that way. So I'm excited to be able to share that knowledge.
Nice.
Yeah.
It killed me to tell Joe that I couldn't do a course for him because I really wanted to.
You should do it. You should.
I don't have time.
Oh, yeah.
I do not have time, but
yeah, that's always a challenge.
But I love also just his hands-on approach, right? So it's not just, hey, here's a video, but it's here's a video, and then here's a StackBlitz setup for you. And, go get some hands-on stuff. You can launch the app from StackBlitz. I mean, it's development. You're learning it. And you don't have all the headaches of, I have to install Node. I have to install this. I have to install that. It's just there. It's done.
And the author training that he is doing to help authors be successful is just out of this world. I really like his approach. It really got me to rethink how I do my talks when I go and speak. Especially from a workshop level, because he has this concept of I do, we do, you do.
Right.
And it's getting people involved, and platforms like StackBlitz really help that because we don't have to worry about what machine it's on, what you're doing. You've got that code. You can start to play with it. You can work through the example, and then we can give you some feedback on what you did.
Very cool. So, I think you kind of told us what the best thing about the conference is, because I've been asking people that, but it sounds like for you it's the people.
It is the people. I love the talks. I am being a sponsor here. I don't get to see as many of the talks live as what I would hope.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with the podcast booth, right?
Yeah, so I what the great thing at BrieBug is in our kitchen. It's a big galley style kitchen with a big 70 whatever inch TV, and all day long we play videos. And I'll be sitting in the kitchen then. As much as possible to sit and hear the talks and take that stuff in, because there's so much great knowledge, so much great value, but it does come down to people. And it's that's what I love, is talking to people at the booth, talking with people out on the floor. Had an amazing breakfast talk this morning with a whole bunch of people from the NGRX world about what's the direction, where are we going with things. And it was an honor to sit at that table with those other developers. I'm like, wow, that's impressive.
Well, and what you're saying is something that I've been telling people too, is like, look, if I want to watch the talk, it's going to be on YouTube. I can watch it later. The people are going home in a day or two. Exactly.
Hard to have that conversation, later. And it's just amazing to see everybody. So love it. Good deal.
So how do people find you online if they want to reach out?
Yeah, so you can reach me at Jesse_BrieBug. You can search BrieBug and find me. You can search Jesse Sanders. Now, there's a basketball player. I didn't play basketball.
But you are a musician.
But maybe I shouldn't have brought that fact up to you. No, it's all good. I love it. So you can search my name. Easiest thing, though, is on Twitter. You can DM me. Happy to talk with you. If you have questions about something that I've done or something that you're doing, or in the direction of Angular in general, send me a message. Would love to chat with you, talk to you, find out your opinions, and share with you what I have.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Jesse.
Chuck, awesome to be here. Thanks so much for the opportunity to sit down and chat with you. This was fun. I was really nervous. I'll be just totally honest.
I am intimidating. I will admit it.
Well, sitting down on a podcast, it's being recorded, and it's like, no prep. What am I going to say? But you always make me feel so comfortable.
That's
I really appreciate.
I am not a musician. I am an intimidator.
Show me the mean face. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right.
I had to think about my kids doing something bad.
Right? Oh, awesome.
All right. Well, thanks, Jesse.
Yep. Thank you. Take care. Bye now.
Bandwidth for this segment is provided by CacheFly, the world's fastest CDN. Deliver your content fast with CacheFly. Visit CacheFly.com.